Okay, so thank you for joining me. I mean, we've been talking for like 20 minutes now. But we should probably get into it. Okay, so today's topic is good form, right?
Mm.
And what that means to us, what's good form, and therefore what's bad form, how to get good form. I was kind of hoping we could talk about that because, not necessarily even just like for anyone listening to this, but just because like I am very interested in what you have to say about this. Like you are very interesting, you're very knowledgeable, and so I honestly just want to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah. I mean, good form as it pertains to, well, honestly, first of all, Kevin, thank you so much. That was extremely kind of you. And me and you have been working together for a while. I've learned so much from you as a trainer, and we've had so many collaborative trainer talks that has, really enhanced my experience and my level of understanding of training, anatomy, kinesiology, and hormone therapy. There's just a lot within this encyclopedia that I feel like we're creating of conversation, which is super cool that we've actually you've created a way to log that down, and I wanted to give gratitude for that because that's something that takes a lot of initiative and also a great amount of investment of time to be able to create something like this. So I'm so excited you've created a platform for us both to be able to speak on this. And I mean, when it comes to good form, I mean, there are a lot of things that we may see and think is a rep of completion or form perfection. And I'll tell you a story. There was a gentleman that came up to me in a gym when I was in the Marine Corps. He came up and he was a higher enlisted guy. So when he walked over to me, I just got done doing incline dumbbell fly. And I remembered at the time, I was in my early 20s and I was trying to lift heavy and I was trying to train hard. And he came over and he said, "Hey, man, if you just lower the weight and really focus on how you're doing it, you'd probably get a lot more benefit," and walked away. And I was like, this guy, I am so tired of high. Oh, man. And the next thing probably was that I was wearing a white T-shirt, because in the Marine Corps, you can't wear a white T-shirt to go training. But I had wrote on this T-shirt, and a select few people will know what this means, but I wrote on this T-shirt, like around the neck of it, "Chomp on this," which is an old like skater term because I was just a skater growing up and had a little rebel in me. So it made sense. And I got away with wearing a white T-shirt, but I thought he was about to chew me out for wearing a white T-shirt. But when he said what he said, it really resonated because I was very alert when he walked up. And when he walked away, I was extremely excited. I didn't get chewed out, but he also corrected my form. I was like, how are you going to correct my form, man? You're not near as big as me. And I'm in my early 20s, pretty egotistical. But when I literally, next set, I just followed his order, just robotically, and focused on squeezing my pecs rather than listening to Disturbed Get Down with the Sickness and just getting it on. I found that I had pecs instead of sore shoulders after that workout. Like it really drove home to me form. But I would see guys in lifting videos pushing huge weight, huge muscles, and they're just getting to it. I think there's a level of experience that comes with that. There's wisdom that comes with form. So you don't give a baby steak. You don't give a baby that kind of food. And at the time, I was a baby in my wisdom and my experience. And there was a guy that was able to eat steak, but he wasn't as big as what I'd seen in the videos. So I discredited his initial information until I used it. And then, honestly, the guy's a Yoda, in my opinion, because that's something that I will just say in form, what's good form, what's bad form. Good form keeps you safe. Good form pushes your limits, and it also accesses the target muscle properly. And if you're a power lifter, or if you're a bodybuilder, or if you're a CrossFitter, or if you're a runner, there is tactics, there is form that is present in all athletics. And to have a comprehension of all of that is a very difficult task to flood into your brain. But I think it all comes back to one thing: take your time and focus on your objective. So that's how I break down form, especially with training with, one-on-one with individuals that I have no clue who they are or their pre-existing conditions until like we know right then and there on the X, like on the spot of working. So that's honestly my interpretation of good form is making sure that those markers are well within alignment before you snap into that. I don't know. What do you call that, Kevin, when you get into the moment and you have that training session where your muscles working synonymously with your motivation and your passion level? I don't know.
Is that just like being in the zone, or I
Okay.
just kind of feel like that's just like harmonious, like your muscles, your mind, your muscles are just in harmony with what your goals are, rather than just like ripping and tearing, moving weight, like being conscious of are you activating the muscles you want to activate, right? Like those incline dumbbell flies, like are you moving heavy weight like for the sake of having weight, lifting heavy weight? Because like I know a lot of guys, they just want to be strong. Like they're not interested in having big pecs or strong pecs or even with proper form. They're just like, I just want to be able to incline dumbbell fly 45 pounds. If that's their goal, I mean, they're doing it. It's just like to you and me who actually like want to work on our chest, that's not our goal. So like we wouldn't just move heavy weight for the sake of moving heavy weight, because we're interested in building the body. We're interested in protecting our shoulders. We're interested in improving, right? Because like when you're just moving heavy weight, you might improve, but it's not going to be efficient, right? When you're conscious, you're engaged in the proper muscles.
Sure.
Your progress is going to be faster.
Right. Yeah. And even with that, I guess that train of thought you just said, the lifter that wants to train to progress in weight, I just want to press those 100-pound dumbbells, dude. That's all I want to do. I want to be able to bench press those 100-pound dumbbells, or I can't wait until I pick up those 120s and push them for shoulder presses for 8. I mean, we hear that often. And dude, I will be your biggest advocate. If that's you talking to me, I'll be like, dude, when do we get to it? Let me show you how. Not because I have all the answers, but let me see how you do it right now. So then we can dissect ways that are not beneficial. Because here's the thing. If we're coming in every day trying to push the 120s, or 2 times a week trying to push the 120s, I'm going to tell you, let's write some stuff down. And I really want you to comprehend what's going on, because if you want to push those 120s, you need to learn how to properly activate that type of power. And that type of power needs to come from a good source. And that good source is your form. And that form is broken down not just into how you're pressing the weight, but form and tactic. So when you're coming at this to press heavy and progressionally press heavy, we're all going to reach a ceiling. We're all going to reach a cap. Now, I'm never going to tell you in life you will never be held back. I'll tell you, sky's the limit for you. But in the lifting realm, realistically, there is a limit. There is a sky. There is a weight that you will hit that you will no longer be able to press through. I don't know if it's because, I wouldn't be able to tell you right now if it's because of injury that you're going to hit, or sickness, or stress, or something that happens in life that takes you out of the gym for a while, and you're going to say, oh man, I was on track to be really, really huge, and then I got married, or I was really on track to get huge and then I got a dog, or I was really on track to get, or something even more serious. There was a death in the family, and it really mentally, took me out of it. Those are things that are variables that could very well take you out of that press weight accomplishment. Physically, anatomically, your muscles are going to have a point to where they can no longer bear that weight, and they'll either succumb to an injury, like we said earlier, or you just won't be able to do it. There's a method behind to get to that level, and I'm very interested to talk about that later on too. But in a nutshell, you will have a limit. And my question is, what are you going to do when you hit that limit? Are you going to keep eating the juice or keep eating the pudding of, nothing's going to stop me, I'm going to break through this barrier, which I support because I've used that same voice and got through barriers. But at what cost? And I think that's something very appropriate to talk about, are the costs of improper form and tactic and improper form and training.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point of something I did definitely want to bring up, which is like someone's goal could be to be like, I just want to be able to bench 225. But like there's going to be a cost to everything, right? Like, yeah, you could push to 225 today when you can only like bench with good form with like 185. You could push for 225. Like if you can bench 185 for like 8 reps, you could probably do 225, but probably not with good form, probably not safely. And probably not with like your chest as the primary mover. You're probably gonna be engaging your upper delts, your front delts, your triceps. So like the benefit there is like, yeah, you can hit 225 today, but the cost is you might hurt your shoulder. You're not gonna be your pecs aren't gonna be like any stronger for it because you're probably not using the pecs as the primary mover. You're engaging from other sources. You're probably cheating. You might be using momentum. So like, there's a short-term gain, usually like just like hype, just like, oh heck yeah, I did 225 today. That's the short-term positive, but you don't get any long-term improvement, and also you run the risk of hurting yourself. So like, that's the thing, which is like, everything is complicated. That's something that like I tell my piano students all the time when they have a question, like with people at the gym, like, oh hey man, if I want to get bigger, how many reps should I do per set? And I'm like, dude, that's oversimplifying, right? Everything is more complicated than people give it credit. So like what is good form? Yes, good form is safe. And you're working toward your goals, but beyond that, there's not really a perfect definition, because like a lot of people will say like, for bench press, your feet have to be here. You got to be engaged here. You got to touch your chest, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's good form. And I say not necessarily, because it depends on person to person, at time to time, sometimes you want to cheat. Sometimes it's optimal to cheat.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it saves your life to get that bar off your chest. And like you're saying, there's so many things, right. There's so many things that are complicated, but one thing to simplify, I think a lot of confusion around maybe the conversation is that keyword that I love: articulated movements, articulating the weight. So just as it reads,
I definitely want to hear more about that.
Right. And that's something me and you have used a lot to access target muscle. So this may be more along the terminology of physical therapy, PT, or working with personal training in certain instances where individuals are having a hard time engaging a target muscle of desire. So if I have a trainer or a trainee that I'm working with, and we're having a hard time engaging pecs, we're having a hard time engaging certain avenues to get that to appropriately function and get engagement, they're getting feedback in their shoulders. Of course, here's where the form comes into play. So we make sure all those like known things are right. Scapula's retracted, chest up. We want to lead it with the chest if we want to work that. My opinion. So obviously we'll have trainers on here hopefully in the future that give some feedback, and we can have conversation about that in the future too. But articulating movement, something I learned from many mentors that have taught me this. This is stuff that isn't new. This is stuff that just goes by the wayside because life. One thing, chest press. If we're doing a barbell press, flat bench, and we're having a difficult time engaging our pecs, we're going to figure out where the bar is coming down first. Is it lower pec line? Is it nipple line? Is it up towards their clavicle? And we're going to try, what we're going to do is bring that center, because we want that bar to be right over right nipple line. So when we're associating that being the marker, first marker in check. Now, I love the articulating part. Here's where articulation comes into play. Normally when we're pressing on the concentric and when the bar is coming down on the eccentric, we're focused on pushing up and allowing the weight to come down slowly. One way to engage your chest with efficiency and effectively is to take your hands, loop your thumbs around the bar, because I see a lot of it all the time, and this is great. You can do this for a lot of different reasons. I'm not trying to naysay you. Take your thumbs, loop it around the bar like you're holding it like a baseball bat. And in your brain, you have 100% stock here. Just place 20%, 15%, 10% even stock into pushing the bar together all the way through the motion, all the way through concentric to peak, and all the way from peak to eccentric to your starting position. That is going to define articulating the movement. No longer is the weight just being pressed up and down. Now we're pressing up and down and slightly pressing the bar in all the way through the peak of the motion and all the way through the bottom of the motion. If
Gotcha.
you do that, tell
I love
me
that
you
because, like,
don't feel it differently.
yeah, because it's more emphasis on the actual anatomy, like how your body actually move, like the kinesthetics of your muscles. Because I feel like way too many people are focused on moving the weight. Their focus is, I gotta push this weight off my chest. So their emphasis is on the bar, whereas there should be more of a focus on the muscle, right? Um, Focus on your chest. That's the primary mover. That's what you're trying to work on. That's what you're trying to improve. Increase the strength, increase the size of your chest, or whatever. And focus on engaging the chest. You're focusing on you rather than the inanimate object that you're trying to move.
Right. On the weight being the end all be all, like the 315 benchmark, of flat bench press. Here's the thing too, maybe hit 3 sets with this articulated movement concept. And one thing I'll do with a person I'm training, if I see, I'll define and kind of go into what that means when I see things in training, to be able to know to push the athlete at that point to say, hey, now you are engaged. Your body is tuned in. You have developed a neural communication with the muscle to have that be somewhat automatic to your chest now to take over the motion in that same exact way without having to focus so much, even that 10 to 15% stock. Now you can focus on keeping your elbows in proper placement, feet flat on the ground or toes up, however we were doing that day. Core tight, send it. Get 10 in there. Don't overthink this part, okay? Because that's the transition. There's a transition mode with athletes in training where articulated movements are needed. They're not the end all be all. They are needed in certain steps of training. And then, hey, let's go ahead. Heaviest set right here. We've worked up appropriately in weight climbing and increase here and stimulus increase. No longer do you need to cognitively exert that amount of stock investment into pushing the bar together on the concentric and the bar together on the eccentric. Send it. Go for 10. Go for 8 or whatever the number designated is. I mean, there is a beautiful thing that happens in training when you see that come to fruition for someone and also yourself, like as a person training, and you don't need to have the high goal or the overcommitted or very committed discipline goal to be a bodybuilder, to be a world champion powerlifter or state champion or anything else other than finding out the power you have behind focus, behind information, and applying both when training. It's just a beautiful thing.
Hell yeah.
Definite need in transitions. So just these things that we're talking about now, Kevin, are all step to increase that ability to be somewhere clandestine, right? We have gyms that offer us the availability to get fit and well and everything else like that. And that's why this conversation is even happening, because most of the audience, your lifters or your lifters that are stay-at-home moms or your lifters that are full-time working moms. You run businesses and there's a gym, but guess what? That gym allotment, your white space, is non-existent. So where can we get this done at? Check it out. In your office, 30 minutes. Do push-ups, but apply the same concept. That's not enough weight. Well, slow it down. And then we talk about time tempo, time under tension. This is a known concept, and this is one that oftentimes gets zero credit for the clandestine environment. And just because I say clandestine, that doesn't just specify to out in the middle of the desert, on top of a mountain, wherever, that doesn't have cell reception. So this is for you right now, that's in your home, that can't get away on Sunday, that can't get away on that Saturday because you have a barbecue going down and you're going to be prepped for that instead of spending what I've found most is like an hour and a half time to go to the gym and come home and get all that process done, because for some reason there's this huge mantra that needs to go down, which I get, I support. But if you need to get it in, these are movements you can utilize, implement, and get results where you are right now. And things that you can use in the house, chairs, bags, groceries. learn how to farmer's walk appropriately, and you'll get some benefit out of it. And plus, the main reason of these conversations is to put you in a place to be healthy and to stay safe, doing things that require exercise activity daily. And then for the more serious lifters, the guys and girls that are just going to the gym and getting that in dedicated wise, this is a huge time for you to use the weight provided instead of leaving a gym because they only have 80-pound dumbbells. I mean, I can't tell you how many amazing workouts I've gotten at a Planet Fitness or anywhere, just because that mindset almost takes you out of the ability to utilize some information that's very important, so I digress. I say all that because articulated movements, they aren't the end all be all, but they are one heck of a way to start engaging those target muscles and isolating.
Right. So the articulated movements, give a few more examples of what an articulated movement is. So for chest press, focusing on pressing the bar into each other, right? The hands kind of toward each other, pressing that bar into it, right? Is the articulated movement for the chest press.
Right. And the hands will stay stationary. The hands aren't sliding physically in and physically sliding out. If you're doing that, let's just see a video on the Smith machine first to see how that actually rolls for you. And, honestly, because you're replicating a fly, you're replicating a pectoral fly, and that's how the pecs actually function. So another thing, I have a few things written down, but I'm just going to go off the top of my head. Let's do something like everyone knows how to do, the wide grip lateral pull down. Wide grip lat pull down. Excuse me, lateral pull down. Latissimus dorsi, right? That's what we're talking about, the back. Okay. So when we're doing a wide grip lat pull down, same concept. You can even reverse the hand movement in and out. So what we're going to do is focus on loop those thumbs underneath, get that good sturdy base. I won't specify that now, but just however that pertains to you right now. Slide your knees up under that pad, good sturdy base, and you're going to begin to pull the bar down. Get a few reps in. Okay. Feel it out. Pull the bar down to your chin. Come all the way up right before you get elbow lockout. So we're going concentric. We're pulling down. Try to pull the bar apart. That 10 to 15 to 20% stock, pulling the bar apart all the way down to your chin. Slight pause at the chin. Slowly go back up. Concentric. We're paused, and eccentric. We're going back up. Now we're focused on pulling the bar apart all the way through that eccentric range of motion. So we're then pushing pressure and more focused tension to your lats, different target areas. You'll find maybe rear delts are flaring up. So then we're going to change chest position, and you'll be able to articulate your physique based off of where you're feeling that. And if you have a really good trainer, a guy or a girl that knows anatomy, knows how your body's moving in motion, kinesiology, they will be able to direct you a little bit better to be able to access certain parts of your back that you need and that you're wanting to. One thing I found, especially with lat pull downs, is this once we're locked into position, there is zero glute engagement. And we just rely on our quads to be pinned up under this pad. I've done this so many times as a young lifter and experienced. And once I've had a couple back injuries, my glutes, I've needed to engage them more to take that pressure and load off of my lower back, especially spinal erectors. So when you're engaging glutes, that wakes your lower back up. That sends direct messages there. Hey, we've got good support here. Bet you a couple bucks at least, because I can spare a couple. You're going to find way better engagement and way better overall effectiveness in each rep, because we're not working to get to 10 to 15 reps and then we can finally start getting working reps in. How about we go ahead and not spend 15 minutes down the road? Let's make the right turn right off the bat. First couple reps, you'll get better engagement there. Cable press down. Let's talk about fixed bar press downs, even straight bar, triangle press down bar, even rope. I'll go into rope later because there's some techniques to help access that press in more effective ways than just throwing the rope out and letting it come back up. Pressing the bar down, you're going to focus the same way you did a chest press, in the sense of you're trying to push the bar apart, keeping elbows stable by your side, or if your elbows are positioned out to work long head of your tricep, you can even work long head of your tricep with elbows closer to your body. Focus on pushing that bar apart all the way on the concentric, and on the eccentric, focus it on pushing that bar apart on the eccentric. And I tell you what, that is some of the biggest engagement in tricep that I've ever gotten, is being able to focus cognitively on pushing bar apart and pushing bar apart on the way up. Let's see, what else could we talk about? I think let's do deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts, maybe. I noticed with myself, I'm a taller guy, I'm 6'3", and stiff legs were difficult for me to achieve just because of lack of hamstring. I had pretty developed glutes and overdeveloped glutes comparative to hamstring. And when I say overdeveloped, it's just because of the bodybuilding nature that I refer back to when doing physique comparisons. But I digress. Going into like stiff legs, when we're hitting the concentric part of the motion, that's the easiest to me. And maybe you would agree. Coming up and driving your hips forward, keeping your knees slightly bent, feet about, you can go anywhere from 6 inches to 12 inches apart for that close stance, in my opinion, to be effective. Now, when you're going down on the eccentric, that's where it gets a little weird and complex, I would say. So keeping core tight. Yeah, right. Keeping core tight. Keeping your, and I associate core in my dialogues with your core, in my definition, right, is from top ab all the way to bottom glute insert, because that is in essence your core. I get we've always associated, and it may still be anatomically incorrect to say this, but this is just for the purpose of our podcast. I can say it. Keeping your glutes tight as well as you're pushing back and your core tight, because this whole center is what is going to take the biggest toll in injury if it's not properly engaged, especially your abs. Notice a lot of blowouts there, hernias, etc. there through the belly button, as well as herniated discs, through lower spine. Keeping them engaged protects your skeletal muscle. Protect your skeleton there. Use your muscle to protect that joker. Now, as you're pushing back, you're not dropping your butt. You're not dropping your glutes. You're pushing glutes backward, and you're allowing your chest to stay somewhat risen, so it's not dipped down. That's going to mean your scapula is back, your chest is up. I wish I could put a video up of this, and in the future we will, to articulate this movement a little bit better. But how to actually use articulating movements here, we're not talking about using a whole bunch of weight. Focus on trying to pull the ground together with your feet all the way through the eccentric and all the way through the concentric. So those are adductor focused. We're going to find
that with like a lot of your articulated movements, it's like you're trying to push things together as you're doing the movement. So you're actually working on 2 axes. So instead of like a 1 dimension where you're just going up and down, for example, like with a deadlift, you're going up and down, but you're also squeezing inward. So now you're on the x-axis as well as the y-axis, which makes a lot of sense because we exist in 3 dimensions. We're 3-dimensional beings. We don't exist on 1 axis. So like engagement on more than 1 axis should be more natural, right? More to how our body's designed.
Man, love the way you said that. Yes, that's perfect. A perfect way to describe action and motion. We are not on 1 fixed axis. You can be, but you probably will only get half of the benefit of what is actually to have.
Yeah, it's kind of rare to be on 1 axis. Like I think like bicep curls is like one of the rare movements where like you're actually on 1 axis, you're just going up and down. And even then we could actually get into an argument. Like my ideal curl actually does. That's a subject for a video with a visual component. But like most movements are in more than 1 dimension, like that chest press, right? It's not just you're pushing it forward away from you, but you're also kind of scooping it upward, right? In an arc. And you're also trying to put the hands together. So that would actually be all 3 dimensions right there.
Man, you brought it full circle. There's nothing else to say about that, especially when you get into bicep curls. There's the arguments that you and I could have in debates are amazing because there's a lot of ways to do it. And To do
Literally
it is
infinite.
defined by right, is literally defined by what is effective for that person.
Yes.
So whereas there may be a person in the audience right now that's like, that's not at all how I do it, and I still get great pumps, I still get great muscle engagement, these guys know what they're talking about. Or there's another guy or girl out there that's like, hey, they're right on it, I'm actually going to try this. All this is to provide a perspective based off of experience and education. And we're continuing that experience and education daily. I know Kevin has a full client load as well as myself, trainers and clients alike, trainers that are training other clients. And I know Kevin's got trainers that he's training and training clients. There's a lot to procure out of this kind of a conversation. And just to take a couple steps back out of that and to say, wow, like just honestly, just having the conversation with you, like I've always said, provides so much benefit because there's information here that opens perspective. As a human being here on Earth, right? I don't know any human beings that are out of Earth other than astronauts. So I say that to be very realistic. Like there's so much opportunity to grow, mentally, physically, spiritually. And in this concept, we're talking about the physical aspect. And to open that perspective, I think is such a great avenue to change your routine that can also really feed your mental space, because we find ruts that we all fall in or plateaus that we will hit. These should be called plateau breakers, plateau smashers, because no excuses. There's so much information out there, and much more than just a pump video or watching the prolific, epic Chris Bumstead or Jay Cutler's or the, wow, names escape my brain. Eddie Hall, big time guys that just are still powerhouses in the fitness industry. And I'm missing so many other fitness avenues. But my point is there are ways for you to grow other than taking copious amounts of supplements, steroids, and everything else, with just some great nutrition planning and some awesome training cues. And this is what this is. This is a training cue conversation. And those basic movements that we're talking about, everybody can do. Everybody. I mean, unless that, you have an appendage or something missing, that's not going to stop us. We're still going to figure it out. That's the goal. So to make it work for you where you're at.
Yeah, everyone can learn from it, right? Like hearing from us, hearing about other people, just getting perspective. That's how you grow, right? If you always do the same thing that you do, that's what leads to plateaus. That's what leads to stagnation, right? And like everyone can apply like the definition of what good form is. So like bring it back to like the definition of good form. The main thing I just want to emphasize for this like recording is my belief that good form, all it is it's not dangerous. So if it's dangerous, it's bad form. But good form prevents injury. That's the first point. Second point is it's controlled. Good form is controlled. You are in control. Momentum is not taking control. The weight is not in control. Momentum is not moving the weights. You're moving the weights. If momentum is using the weights, then it's just, it can be going towards your goals and such. It could be beneficial, but it's not going to be efficient. So good form is efficient in that you are in control. That's the second point. And then the third point is the most important to me, which is it's working toward your goals. And your goals are going to be different than my goals. And it's going to be different than another guy's goals, right? Everyone's goals are going to be different. And everyone's goals change, right? We have big goals. We have micro goals within the goals, right? So like my ultimate goal is like, I want to be big. I want to be aesthetic, right? So that might mean that today when I hit shoulders, I want it to go lighter weight, slow, but next week, maybe I want to go higher volume, more intensity. Like it depends on the day it depends on how my shoulder's feeling. So like the ultimate goal is still the same, but like my goal for the day will be different. Like today, I want to go really heavy because going heavy will increase my strength. That's part of my goal. And then next week, I want to go high volume. That'll help with hypertrophy. That's also part of my goal. So like your mini goals will change like throughout the day, like from day to day, maybe week to week. And then of course your bigger goals are month to month, year to year. But like everyone's goals are different person to person, but also depending on the day. So like when someone says what's good bench press form, what's good bicep form, I'm like, it depends on a lot of variables. It depends. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to improve strength? Are you trying to improve hypertrophy? Are you trying to work on your short head? Are you trying to work on your long head? Like, are you in a bulk right now, or are you in a cut? Are you in maintenance? Is your bicep sore? Have you hit them recently? Like, when's your next back day? Like, is it going to interfere with your back day? So like, there's so many variables that, to me, my definition of good form is not dangerous, it's controlled, and it's working toward your goals, whatever that may mean.
And dangerous is also relative. So, who can handle danger? You know,
Yeah.
Something I text a lot of my athletes or just people in general, is stay dangerous. And what I mean by that, you know, this is a very, very big terminology to use, I think, on a broad scale, but I challenge my athletes a lot. And if you're listening and you're an athlete, you could probably raise your hand and say amen. But my challenges reside within the basis of you are best equipped for dangerous situations. I'm going to send you into the gym and you're going to do this, not the weight, but you're going to challenge yourself. And I want you to push yourself to this, and this, while maintaining X, Y, Z. And X, Y, Z are the proper articulating movements, the safety measures that are required. And the biggest thing you hit, honestly, to me, was the overtraining aspect, which I cannot wait to hit on that in another episode with you, is overtraining. What is overtraining? You know, and it should, you know, the Rich Piana, the CT Fletchers that, you know, CT Fletchers, there's only one, sorry, buddy. Hopefully I don't get beat up for saying their names. But my reason why I'm using them is because they've been so iconic in the fitness industry for training like mad, like doing 8-hour workouts or doing arms every day. No matter what, I don't give a fuck, you know, type situation. And excuse my language, but what I'm thinking to kind of reiterate there is, there's science behind growth, and there's also a certain level of, like, Kevin, proper word for courage, I guess, or balls, or intestinal fortitude, to push yourself, man, to reach in and grab that fire after you've already went through the repetitions of getting those safety measures in place so you can send it, man. You want to get in there and rip it up, like you want to go. But you also have to recover properly. So there's a whole nother episode around recovering properly, overtraining, et cetera, et cetera. And there's going to be science to back all that up. Easy day. And a lot of case study too. Plenty of data that I've accrued over the past 15 years, 15 years of being a trainer. And also just seeing people get hurt for no reason. And I've seen people reach some insane feats being dangerous, and then the very next day be limited for years, not being able to do anything dangerous. So I always encourage a healthy amount of dangerous engagement that, obviously, like you said, first and foremost, you need to be safe. And what is safe? You need to get in and get out of the gym effectively. And that, a lot of us have families. And if you don't have human families, you have fur families. Like, go home. You need to still be able to put food in their bowls, baby. So at the end of the day, if you're limiting yourself by trying to do something that isn't smart, it's okay. Let's just revisit the drawing board and know where we need to learn. And who's the best advocate to talk about that? This guy right here. I'm raising both my hands, both of them things, because I've been that guy. I've been sidelined from improper deadlifting, anything you can think of, trying to bench press in a bench press competition. I had no business there because I had no idea what I was doing. And even if I did, I was trying to press too much weight because I was trying to win. And am I mad about that? No, because it really brought me to a better level of understanding. I'm grateful, so thankful to God that I was able to recover and able to train my chest again and grow pecs. But there was a large amount of time where I thought my pec would never grow again, like tore right off the side. So, and then just recently, I'm very confident I tore my teres major and minor, black and blue, all the way. Last prep, went to see my son. Up in North Carolina, we went to a ninja jump park, and I'm doing my ninja thing, jumping around. And there's this like big wagon wheel obstacle, like you jump on and like swings you back and forth. And, you know, in my heart, I'm a ninja, but physically I just may not be there still. So I jumped up to grab this sucker, and there was nothing wild about what I did. I just jumped up to grab it, almost as like I just jump up to grab a monkey bar. But both hands are centered in the center of my body. So not out like a lat pull down, but centered like I'm doing a close grip. Jump up there to grab this thing to swing on it, and just from lack of hydration, being depleted during prep, so much cardio, so much stress, my body was in no way, shape, or form ready to even hold onto that sucker. But my hands gripped onto it, and sure enough, both sides, Terry's major and minor, just let go. And black and blue back there for 3.5 weeks, unable to do any kind of back movements, and still went and competed, that December, which I think I got injured early November. So it just one of those things where improper form, not even just improper form, but just being a little bit too outside of my means there, and getting injured and having to recover. I think injuries can either provide a good time to learn or a time to get depressed. It's a whole nother episode about depression and how it correlates to what's that?
So yeah, it's your perspective. Like, do you choose to be like, like beat yourself up, like, I can't believe I did that, I'm so dumb, or do you want to be like, all right, I learned something, don't do that?
I will not lie. I punched myself in the knee when I got in the truck later. I was like, you idiot. But you know what, man, you got to learn from it. And honestly, just kind of bringing this to a close, knowing ways to develop around injury, preventing injury. Biggest takeaway is staying on course. And that pertains to every single person listening, whatever your course is in life. That's your goal. Your goal is either to go to work, come home, eat, sleep, repeat, do the same thing, go to the gym. But we all have, or go run, or whatever it is that your outlet is, staying actively learning about it, not having to be the biggest nerd in the room about it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to have a comprehensive level of understanding on what's effective for me and how can I continue to grow in it. That's a big deal. That feeds into your overall growth as a human, just your mindset in your job, in your relationships. Don't discount yourself. Just count yourself in. Make the change today to make a different choice instead of doing the same thing that isn't getting you anywhere, whether it's the same argument you're having with a spouse or whether it's the same freaking bicep workout you've been doing and it's just you're aggravated and mad at yourself. Grow past it, get the information, ask questions, and try it. Give it an honest try, apply yourself. So I've actually said about as much as I think I could say on that. Well, not as much. I could say a lot more, but and there's so many other things I can't wait to go into depth in other episodes with you, Kevin, on. So again, that's been my take on articulated movements, on good form and what is good form and why is it there. Good form is there to keep you safe, healthy, wealthy, and wise in all aspects, spiritually, mentally, and physically. So stay alert and stay dangerous. I love that concept. Stay alert and stay dangerous, because dangerous keeps you alive, keeps you safe, keeps other people safe. And honestly, we all should flirt with a little level of danger. Let you know yourself is still alive a little bit. Okay. So I was excited to be on here, and I can't wait to be on here again with you, Kevin. Thanks so much, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah. It was great talking to you. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Yes.
We'll definitely talk again soon.
No, we won't. Yes, we will. I'm just kidding. Of course, we'll talk again soon. You jackass.
Didn't know Clint was a jerk.
Didn't know Clint was the total douche, but okay, that's fine. We'll have him back because everyone needs a token douche,
Alrighty, man. You have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you.
I'll talk to you so soon, brother. Thanks so much, Kevin. Talk to you in a sec. Well, actually, I'll be texting you later on tonight, but I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. Looking forward to it, brother. Have a good night.
All right, man. You too.
All right, brother. Later.
See ya.